Battleboard Bets, episode number 3. Yes, where we're going to guide you through your football survivor pool all season long. Guys, episode 3. Correct me when I'm wrong, Robert. We got through.
Wait, why don't you tell the folks where you are right now? That's probably the more impressive
Maybe
thing.
that's what's happening. Exactly. I'm not in the Battleborn state of Nevada. I'm actually on business away in Arkansas. And, well, you know what? When in Rome, I suppose. So in any case, guys, we made it. We made it mostly intact. As we take a look quickly back at week number 2, 1,180 fine entrants have been eliminated, leaving us with 16,965. Some of the performances that we saw were, well, as expected. Baltimore had the highest win rate by far. Arizona had slim future value. They were home against Bryce Young. That looked like a pretty popular choice, which made its way through.
Until about 5 minutes before the game.
Exactly. And then forget about those last 5 minutes. Where did, of course, Dallas. We could probably touch a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys and that mayhem, but that's already been discussed. In any case, from our perspective at the Circa Survivor Pool, 19 entrants had all 10 of their picks on the Cowboys. One that had 9 entries, and 9 entries only had them on the Cowboys as well. Myself here representing Bald Razors, we had 4 on the Cowboys. Happy to not have watched most of that and just found out exactly what happened in the end when you guys started to say kicks are being made at a record fashion. John, how do you feel exiting week number 2? And tell everyone here what your 3 picks were in week number 2.
Yeah, just happy to make it through without any major damage. Dallas was one selection. Obviously, that was a huge sweat. The early game, the 1:00 game. Also had the Rams on the second selection. That was a little bit more easier to swallow that game. Watching it, the Rams looked pretty good. Though Tennessee did have like a push towards halftime, but then the Rams really opened it up. I think that game turned out to be, and is exactly what it was, a coaching mismatch. McVay versus Callahan, and it really showed in the second half. So the Rams look like a really good team this year. For those who haven't taken them, maybe a future team to take it home when the matchup is good. And then the third selection was Arizona, which everybody thought was going to be a easy game. Turned out to be a sweat at the end, where Carolina got that onside kickback and was able to, pretty much take the lead against a decimated Cardinal defense there. So just happy to make it through these 3 games, and we move forward, and we'll see what week 3 brings us. Hopefully similar result.
Rob Ginter, you're with Dinkelbaum's Hot Dogs. Tell me about, you touched on the rail, actually, of the Cardinals in week number 2. Tell me your thoughts now as you enter week 3 and what you saw with the Cardinals in week 2. You happy you took them? Happy to get them out of the way?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight, yes. I'm very happy because I do not want the option to have them at my disposal later in the year. So, honestly, between Jacksonville and then Arizona, I feel like I'm in a really good spot to save the better teams for later in the year when they're needed.
No doubt. And so if we just take a look at from a betting perspective, favorites are now 22. This is not counting last night. They lead 22 wins and 8 losses straight up after 2 weeks with 2 pick'ems, but just 16 and 14 against the spread. We're not here to talk about that. But the fact that favorites are winning straight up pretty significantly is something to...
That's why we have such low attrition in the survivor pool.
Unlike anything that we've seen in the history of this pool. Right now, if you date back to week 11 of last year, favorites of 4.5 points or more are 53 and 8 straight up. This season makes it a lot easier. Just look at this body of work. 13-0 straight up this year, favorites of 4.5 plus points. So, and that includes last night with Buffalo, which kind of leads me to week number 3, guys. Rob, we are probably looking at a few options here. If we go ahead and just take a quick peek on the Survivor Atlas map here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here for us. It's something that I wanted to have a look at, and I'm sorting this. Thank you again to the guys at Survivor Atlas. I'm sorting here by week number 3. And week number 3 is showing us the full breakdown of the teams, where they are from a point spread perspective, their win percentages. So I thought that if we take a look at this and think that, well, if it's going to be Seattle, how many Buffalo? Rob, let's start off with you. What do you actually think here in terms of ownership percentage in your predictions here? What do you think of how many entries took Buffalo last night?
I think there's a couple of things at play here. I think a lot of people may have been saving Buffalo for later in the year. So that's going to lead me to believe that I
think we had Rob frozen for a hot
was probably
minute.
last night.
John, okay, Rob, I'm sorry. Yeah, we dropped you for about 5 seconds, but what did you say in terms of the percentage that you think Buffalo?
Oh, I think between 8 and 9%.
8 and 9
was on Buffalo.
It is very low compared to what I thought you would say. John, how about yourself? Where do you think Buffalo lands in terms of ownership percentage?
I do agree with Robert. With Buffalo is a real interesting play. They have a lot of future value. So if you look ahead just a little bit, they get New Orleans at home next week, and then in week 5 they have a pretty tasty matchup also. So taking Buffalo this week, at least from the perspective of this contest, is maybe a little bit of a reach, but I understand why it's done. So I think it's going to be a little bit higher, maybe like closer to 15% maybe on Buffalo. I'll be really interested to see what happens tomorrow night when the list comes out. But I'm going to say 15% on Buffalo. And I think it's going to be, honestly, guys, this week, kind of like last week where we thought, that Baltimore was going to be the chalky team, and it ended up being Arizona. I think people are getting smart in this contest, and they're just starting to realize that they need to save some of these teams for later in the year. So I do think Seattle's going to be the chalk, but we'll see what happens.
I do think that that's actually going to be the case as well. And so I figure if we looked at Buffalo last night, I actually think that there's going to be a little bit of a higher percentage. I figure that we're going to be looking at somewhere between 19, maybe 20% of
really?
entries taking Buffalo.
Are you not factoring in the whole Thursday night angle too, though?
I thought about it, but I said, look, this is the top choice, the biggest favorite on the board. Miami really didn't show me much in the first 2 weeks. I know we chatted back and forth by text, Rob, and you said, look, that Miami's playing really good teams. These aren't pushovers by any way, but I still thought that this was going to be a game that was in hand. It didn't really look like Buffalo had it in hand.
No, it didn't. Well, that's the division angle too that we've mentioned on a couple of occasions.
That's fair. That's very fair. You're right. Well, look, with that aside, let's go ahead and start to peek into who we actually are considering for week number 3 here. There's several that are possibilities. Those that have taken Buffalo are already happy and gave themselves a little pat on the back as they can take a look and see what may be at least historically, a week where favorites start to get swallowed. So as we step on eggshells, hoping not to crack any more, Rob, who is going to be your candidates? And then finally, your pick for week number 3.
I'm like you guys. I'm on Seattle. I'm also on Tampa. You're going up against the backup quarterback. And I would have to say Atlanta against Carolina, but that one really scares me. So I think it's probably going to be between Seattle and Tampa.
Seattle, of course, growing in stature in terms of where right now the Survivor Atlas is predicting the number of entrants. The ownership percentage is as high as I've ever seen all season long, well up into the
that gives me trepidation as well, because I don't want to be, with one entry, I want, like I've mentioned a couple of times, it pays to be a little bit more contrarian.
Yep.
So, it's definitely going to be between Seattle and Tampa at this point. But
okay. So I wonder then if you're looking at Seattle, Tampa, what it's going to actually take for you to make that decision split. We'll get to you in a moment in regards to who you're going to lean in heavily just before we break. John, you've got 3 entries here. Snap judgment is going where with the candidates for this week?
Probably Seattle. There's even consideration of using them on all 3 selections. We'll see what happens. There's Buffalo's already in the barn. The horse is in the barn, so that's done. You got Green Bay, which is kind of interesting, but it's a road game, and prefer to use them maybe later in the year when they're home. Gets maybe a better matchup. Not to say that this matchup's not good, but the Tampa scares me just a little bit. That was a tough game Monday night.
It's Houston.
Yeah, if anybody watched that game, Baker Mayfield just got. That guy's a warrior. Tremendous how he was running around and got down the field. Some interesting stats on Tampa too. How through the first 2 weeks there was something about within their passing game. I have to go back and look at it. It's amazing that they're 2-0, but they are. But again, it's the Jets, so. Maybe that is a viable option against the backup quarterback, like Robert mentioned. Atlanta, I agree, is a little bit scary. I think some people will be on Kansas City also. But again, that's a holiday team. So, maybe not the best spot to take them. And then the other thing to think about is all these 0-2 teams are desperate. So at some point, the dam is going to break and this contest is going to be flipped on its side. So we'll see when that happens. Maybe it's this week. I'm sure it's coming. I don't foresee this happening much longer, but it's probably going to be Seattle, maybe some Tampa Bay, but that's a decision we can make a little bit later. So
agree. With now 9 picks for Bald Razors, as we lost Minnesota in week number 2. We are probably going to spread it, not to the tune of 30% on Seattle, but we're going to probably have a good showing on the Seahawks hosting the Saints. I'm high on Tampa. I actually think we'll probably do far more Tampa than Seattle. I just, Tyrod Taylor. I've seen that show. It's a rerun.
If they can't win with Fields, how are they going to win with Taylor?
Yeah, I'm not exactly too enthralled with what's going to happen there. Tampa now up to 7, hosting the New York Jets, and I don't think that they'll have much to fret about in terms of success over there. Kansas City at New York Giants. I think that this is crazy to think, but there's a very, very viable chance that Kansas City starts the season 0-3. I don't want to play that game in any way. Atlanta, however, at Carolina. At this point, I feel Carolina is probably the worst team in the NFL.
But the worst team is still going to win 3 to 4 games. And you don't want to hit that landmine.
It's not going to be in week 3, though, Rob.
Right.
Not with Atlanta. I think Atlanta's much, much the best there, and you don't have too many other spots there outside of looking. They
did, shut Minnesota down last week.
Now, maybe it was without JJ McCarthy, but that being said, I think that we'll see a little bit of Atlanta.
Oh, it was with JJ, but we're not talking about the Bengals.
Exactly.
They shut McCarthy down. So
correct. And then the last one that I think we'll probably play on is the Colts. They are not favorites much more outside of this coming week at Tennessee. 4.5 is currently what they are lining up as favorites in week number 3 at Tennessee. So I think that the Colts are significantly better offensively, definitely defensively. And I know that there's some injury with the Colts that they are looking at. I think it was Downs. John, you probably know you got a couple of shares of Warren. I think he missed some practice as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not concerned about that in any way. I think that they definitely have their way in Tennessee offensively. So that's kind of the way I'm going to break down this. John, you whispered at it late Sunday night that week 3 was going to be a hazard because of the quarterbacks that are going to be missing, and we are missing several. I'm sure there would have been many, many more picks on the Commanders. We're not even talking about the Commanders hosting.
No. And the Vikings, too, against a decimated Cincinnati. If McCarthy
that game is completely up for grabs. It's
right.
two backup quarterbacks there, but I think that Washington would have been significantly more discussed. It dropped a full 3 points when Daniels.
The downgrade from Daniels to Mariota is not as large as some people think either.
Good point. But will that be enough for you to actually push the button on the Commanders?
Right. You notice I haven't brought them up at all in consideration. So, if I'm gonna get eliminated, it's gonna be due to a pick that I feel 100% convicted on.
Great. So, okay, to kind of wrap things up, we were talking a little bit about Rob, Tampa, Seattle. What do you think was the percentage ownership when we reveal on Saturday that'll take Seattle? How many do you think are going to be on Seattle?
Between 25 and 30%.
That's what you want. That's what you're hoping for. Because if you're going to take Seattle,
no, I'm going to burst the bubble now. I think I'm going to be part of that 25 to 30%.
Okay, good. John, you also mentioned that you're looking at pretty much throwing in all the chips on the Seahawks. What did you think was the percentage ownership on Seattle this year?
Seattle this week will be over 35% owned.
Wow.
Maybe close to 40%. We'll see what happens. Set tomorrow night.
Well, that's going to be a wrap on this episode. Again, thank you again to everyone at Survivor Atlas. The things that you could do with a Survivor Atlas account have been very, very helpful for us here at Battleborn. Maps, save and load your maps. You could reload and remix your paths. Follow players. You could keep tabs on your friends and rivals or top competitors, of course, if you want to look at all those and those get released. Store your projections, EV calculations, just so much that you could do on that database. Thanks, guys, for creating this beautiful portal that we've been leaning in heavily on a regular basis. And thanks again to all the great guys over at Circa Casino Resort in Las Vegas for making just the greatest sports betting pool anywhere. Forget about football. It's just the greatest sports betting pool. What's better than a survivor pool in the NFL? I don't know. And that's why we're here. This is exactly why we're creating a show, because that's how much we love this incredible, incredible pool. Hey, this is going to be everything for us. I want to thank you all for tuning in for episode number 3. As you could probably imagine, we're here every Friday talking about who we like in Circa Survivor and your Survivor pool. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance as we attempt to push every one of our entries all the way through the holidays and beyond to run this table 20-0. We'll see if that does any more, but I think with the way things are going, Seattle playing a pretty weak opponent that's very one-dimensional. I think that we'll have some success there. Matter of fact, I know John and Rob are going to be demanding success from those, and so we'll probably find our way. We'll find our way with a really fun time. So, everybody, thanks again for joining us. On behalf of Robert Ginter, John Howard, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time.